do these functions if they were not in his job description? And what's the difference, or what does the term agent mean? Who is he an agent of? And how does that all fall into the bonus? Now, I can understand, and I can extend that thought out to say, well, if the executive director is now doing more than what we've asked him for in his primary job description, how does he get compensated for it? Or in fact, do we want to compensate him? And if we do want to compensate him, why do we not change the job description and increase his annual compensation to take that into consideration? So my question is, how did this come about? And then how was it determined that in a certain year it was a certain amount of money and next year's a certain amount of money? Was that on a percentage? Did you add compensation to each function? In other words, if I'm taking and doing seeker and site plan, is that an additional compensation? And I guess I'm really kind of figuring out, what does agent mean?
Okay.
What does agent mean? Agent to me means he's working for them, not for the IDA.
Let me try to answer. There was a lot you said there. So let's try to break it back down. Okay. I think your question was, how does our process work?
Now, how did the process evolve?
Well, fine. Let me see if I
And
can.
Mr. Smith indicated that at some point in time, as you're reviewing the job description and the things that you were doing, the issue came up that maybe there should be some compensation or a bonus. And then obviously it continued on from there.
Now, our process has been, we have an compensation committee of the board. And at the end of the year, we establish a series of criteria. I think those documents have been provided to the authorities board, and we set forth certain criteria. We wanted to incent performance, okay? We wanted to incent results that drove investment, taxes, and jobs. Okay? So we established those criteria. They were ultimately approved by the board. And on an annual basis, we went back and looked at those functions. They were set forth clearly in the minutes as best we could, and we determined what he did against those criteria. We recognize, after our discussions with the Public Authorities Board, that we need to have a little more detail filled in. That's one of the things we're going to be working with them on. Okay, but that is kind of how it became, that we had the process. Now, in terms of what happened, each year there was different directors of the compensation. Keith Lampman was around, Paul Slutsky. This year was Bob Snyder. And again, we would meet and review the criteria, make a recommendation to the board, and be voted on by the board. It was an evaluation of what went on for the year. But the issue really, I think, for today, I thought, and I'm happy to have a discussion, is what is the description, and what did you do extra, and how was that bonus derived? And that's what we clearly tried to explain in the chart. Now, the question in terms of the agent was really a term I used when I wrote the contract. Okay? We weren't the agent for anyone else, but we were the agent for getting it done. Okay? Now, hold on, let me finish, okay? Just let me finish. Again, normal, traditional development. IDA has a relationship with the company hires a developer goes out and gets the approvals. That wasn't happening. For whatever reason, no developers would come to Greene County. We became the agent to get the approvals. It just happened over time because, again, we found ourselves in situations where we had to adapt. No Empire Zone. Okay? No Empire Zone, no CERTA, no Sablon. Those are the facts. So what happened? Sandy went over and saw Jerry Simons. Got his own transfer. We became competitive. We had competitive location. I always felt we had competitive land. Good land, good use, good opportunity for people. But without that Emperor Zone, we were finished. So again, it kind of morphed over time. So that allowed us to get stable out and served. The functions changed. It's, look, it's a job. it's an actual job. And again, we wanted to, incent performance. You may disagree with the amount, and I understand that. But, in good faith, we put it right out on the table. It wasn't like, where we had some backroom deal. It was available in the minutes. Anyone could have seen it, it was out there. We didn't hide it. And that was our process. Good, bad, or indifferent, that was the process we went through. We recognized we needed some more detail, but that's what we're gonna work with you on. I hope I answered your question. You had a lot of things in your point, but I think I'm trying to answer the major issue as I understand it.
Please don't read into things I say as to whether there are backroom deals. I didn't implicate any backroom.
No, but I want to put it
Please,
straight on the
but
table.
But don't read into something like that.
Not trying to
Thank you.
do that.
The other issue, I'm not finished, Mr. Chairman. Again, somebody has to authorize somebody to do something. And obviously, you knew that the director was doing this work for the prospective business. Was the prospective business charged for this work? Was the prospective business, instead of them hiring a developer, that they would have to pay for to do these specific functions? Was the prospective business charged? Or was this all part of the service that you were going to offer a prospective developer?
Okay, let me answer that question.
Okay.
Typical of the deals out there is buy the land, pay us a fee at closing. That closing occurs when we had all the permits and approvals in place. No permits and approvals, no closing. They also paid us a fee, the IDA fee. That's what we received. No closing, no fee. Success-oriented completion of the task.
Now, let me just key off that for just a second. You get 3/4%, is that correct?
Correct.
Was that fee changed when this transpired?
What, okay, during what period you got to
The fees, did you go to a different level? Before you operated as an IDA, then you went into...
No, not really. I think our fees have been the same, Wayne. I'm pretty sure it's always been 3/4%. The land has been separate with that.
Paul, what is the base of that 3/4 1%? How is that, what does that apply against?
It's
define the
okay, it's
overall-
on the total investment or the face amount of the bonds, depending if you do tax exempt bonds. And that's pretty traditional, Chris,
The
in terms
building,
of.
the land,
Okay, let
the
me-
equipment.
Let me, the question's a good question. Most IDAs across the state charge a percentage of the fee against the investment or the face amount of the bonds issued. That's how our structure is. If we do tax exempt bonds, we get a fee on the face amount of the bonds, otherwise it's a percentage of the investment. And again, it really functions on what's the deal. But it's 3/4% of the investment generally.
I want to go back and just kind of answer Joe's question, because I don't think that we really got to the essence of it. And the answer to the question is that we've adopted the attitude that we are going to do whatever we need to do to get someone to locate a business in Greene County and to create jobs and to create taxes. And if that means that we have to drive them back and forth to work, we're gonna do it. We adopted a policy internally that says we need to grow our economy, we need to create these jobs. I was sitting at the table with Empire North when Empire North was being led through with Tower Management, and they were ready to walk away because Tower was gearing them or sending them to Selkirk. And they were getting disgruntled with Tower, and they had gotten so frustrated they were gonna walk away, and we said, no, wait a minute. Said, we'll bring some, you don't need Tower. We'll bring some people to the table that can build it. At that time, they wanted someone to build it, and they wanted to lease it, so they were looking at a lease. So we brought a half a dozen qualified people to the table. We said, hang on a minute, we'll bring some people to the table that can build that, other than Tower, that can build that and lease that back to you. And we solicited, I don't know, it was 8 or 10 companies, I think 6 presented proposals. And we sat with them and we guided them through that process. Had we not done that, they told us this, had we not done that, we'd have lost that. They were gone. They were absolutely gone.